All right, welcome to Real BS number 4, Big Spoon, Jason Witherspoon. Gonna go out. I don't know if you can see them tonight. It's almost dark. Got a bunch of stakes back there. We're fixing to stake up a bunch of signs because I don't put out signs. I don't put out signs. It's not good business, especially if you like to buy stuff. It's a weird time of year for signs. They don't really convert really well. On the alternate end of the spectrum, the biggest deal of our year, literally made half a year for each, me and my partners, came off a sign that we put out last Black Friday, not the one that just passed the year before. We're knock on wood, closing the deal this week on a sign that I put out 16-ish months ago. I don't know, forever ago. A lady called me 6-7 months later. We went and looked at a deal. It was a fallen over house. Just the city was going to take it. There was nothing left. I mean, this house was in really, really, really bad shape. That house, it was what it was. The next one, let's see, she took us to some lots that they didn't own anymore. An aunt had been selling those off without telling the rest of the family, and I got to be the newsbreaker on that. And I'll tell you how well it went. Last week, 2 weeks ago, she called me and said, "Hey, my grandma's got a house for sale. Can you come look at it?" I'm in town 2 hours. I was an hour and a half away and had my tools all over the ground around the house. So I called my partner, Jeremy. He said, "Jeremy, can you go do this?" And he went and locked it up. Amazing teamwork. And it's one of those things. That sign may finally pay for all that marketing I did a year and a half ago. The funny thing about it is, I was struggling because this is a tough time of year for everybody, man. Everything's tight around Christmas. I was like, man, I don't want to let this go. But I knew that 2-hour window was very real because there's some other circumstances I'm not going to talk about. I might not get the opportunity to talk to her again. And sure enough, she called other wholesalers. In this case, we weren't planning, or we don't typically wholesale. Some we do, but they called a bunch of wholesalers, and the wholesalers came out and looked at it, and they liked Jeremy. So you know what? The right guy was there at the right time. They picked Jeremy no matter what. So my point is, sometimes you can't be greedy. You just got to let that deal go and hope to make a little bit instead of a lot, because it's better than nothing. But the greater point of all of this is the only way to multiply your deal flow is do more work. Like, you can get smarter, you can dial stuff in, but it still means you're doing more work, or at least you're doing work more efficiently. It's the only way to get in front of more people. So it's very simple when you're putting out signs. The only way to get it in front of more people is to put out more signs. If you don't put out 100 signs, something I learned from Corey Thompson, if you don't put out 100 signs, you ain't doing any work. And what I found is always true, because within 2 or 3 days, 80 of those are gone. You still got 20 on the streets. And you got to remember that it's kind of the way that goes. So, you put out 100 to keep 20 out. After 500, you got 100 out. And, some of those are coming down, but it's the only way to win that war of attrition. And, grab a little ground, grab a little ground, grab a little ground. Till eventually you have some saturation. The other side of bandit signs is that's all good to have that saturation, have your signs everywhere. There's a giant builder that builds all over the state of Texas that has signs everywhere. We all know who they are around here. You can go anywhere. In the middle of a cornfield on a telephone pole will be a sign. I swear to God, like right in the middle of a highway. Nobody can read it going by. I don't know how they put them out, how they put out millions of signs, but after a while, nobody cares anymore. The only person that cares is the person that saw that sign 10 years ago, and it catches them out of the corner of the eye. So your signs lose effectiveness. Even if it sits on a corner, 6 months later, nobody's paying attention anymore. That means you got to be out refreshing stuff, even if it means pulling your own sometimes. But that's never really happened to me. I can honestly say I've never taken one of mine down because I don't put out signs. Don't do it. Anyways, y'all have a nice night. Have a good weekend. Hope y'all are getting something done.